Aloha, friends and family. Happy, joyful, blissful 2022. Happy, joyful, blissful new you. A new you bursting with aloha. Hawaii's last reigning monarch Queen Lily Uokalani, I probably butchered that name, shares the true meaning of this magical word, aloha. And whenever the native Hawaiian went, he said, aloha in meeting or in parting. Aloha was a recognition of life in another. If there was life, there was mana, goodness and wisdom. And if there was goodness and wisdom, there was a God quality. One had to recognize the God of life in another before saying aloha. But this was easy. Life was everywhere, in the trees, the flowers, the ocean, the fish, the birds, the peely grass, the rainbow, the rock. In all the world was life, was God, was aloha. Aloha in its gaiety, joy, happiness, abundance. Because of aloha, one gave without thought of return. Because of aloha, one had mana. Aloha had its own mana. It never left the giver, but flowed freely and continuously between giver and receiver. Aloha could not be thoughtlessly or indiscriminately spoken, for it carried its own power. No Hawaiian could greet another with aloha unless he felt it in his own heart. If he felt anger or hate in his heart, he had to cleanse himself before he said aloha. In that understanding and embodiment of aloha, I say aloha again. If we haven't met before, my name is Timothy. I've been helping people like you live your aloha using ancient arts, sacred sciences, fairy tales for the children and the child in you, God's grace, and everything in between for the past 40 years. Yesterday, I said today's sharing would be on death as a doorway to universal life. When I received my first Reiki treatment in 1985 from my dear friend and first yoga teacher, Jenna, who's currently living in her home state of Hawaii, and who sent me that quote from the Queen, I came out of that session saying, I want to die like this. I felt so peaceful, so full of aloha, full of God, so full of aloha, so alive, so free. Since uttering those words, I've been blessed to bless many, many people with an energetic Reiki blessing as they left their body. I had intended on sharing some of those experiences and what I learned from them with you today. But in meditation this morning, I was prompted to take you down another road before we traveled on that one. And on this road, I ask you some questions. First, are you truly alive? Do you feel truly alive in every moment? Regardless of whether you said yes or no, why did you answer the way you did? Perhaps you can contemplate those questions more deeply as you listen. Perhaps you'll have even more insights than you might have just received as I asked you those questions. Stay tuned. I've got some surprises that may leave you feeling more truly alive and inspired than ever. Surprises that will help your children and any children you know live their true aliveness now and forevermore without going through endless trials and tribulations like many of us have experienced. For me, being truly alive means far more than I'm walking, talking, breathing, and going about daily life. It means I'm truly alive as me, the God self the Queen referred to as aloha, which means I'm free, totally free of all prior conditionings, beliefs, as well as all family, societal, and peer pressures and influences. Free of the influences and traumas, from minor to severe, that come with the territory of being human from the moment we're conceived. Do you know what thought impressions you picked up from your mother in the womb? Impressions that may still be subconsciously running aspects of your life. Have you ever had difficulty trying to diet or start an exercise program? Have you ever wondered why it's so hard to change your eating patterns or to stay with a new exercise program? It goes much deeper than what you experienced as a child. Every cell of your body was formed by and got used to whatever your mom ate, whatever she did while you were in the womb. Not only are babies born to drug addicts addicted to the drugs their mother consumed, but we're all born addicted to whatever our mother consumed. How natural was your mom's diet? What went into the formation of your cells? What impressions did you pick up listening to the outer vibrations in the world around you? Then there's the trauma of birth itself, especially if it wasn't completely natural. And how about what's done to most babies right after birth, physically and emotionally? The details of which we're not going to explore right now. If we don't consciously free ourselves of all that, there's no way we're truly alive. We're carrying baggage, layers that keep us from the full experience of the divine we are, our full aloha. And that's just for starters. Our body's path from cradle to grave, we go through an entire series of deaths along the way, some of which are the natural stages of human development. Stages that started for us in the womb, continued into the birthing stage, moved into our first 18 months, totally dependent on mom and our loved ones. Then we enter another phase from 18 months to 3 or 4 years old. Our next major stage proceeds from there till we're 11 or 12. Then it's on to the teen stage. Each of these stages are major brushstrokes in the masterpiece of art we are. The transitions between those stages are like mini deaths or rites of passage. Rites of passage that are no longer honored as they should be for the monumental leaps in abilities and consciousness we go through. In each of these stages, there are learnings, skills, developmental gold stars, so to speak, we need to master in order to fully live the artistic masterpiece we were designed to be. We can look at those like pieces of a puzzle or the foundation pieces of a building. Ever do a complex picture puzzle only to find pieces missing? Or put together a piece of furniture from IKEA that's missing pieces? Can you imagine how stable a skyscraper would be if integral components were never put in place at the various stages of construction they were supposed to be? But we're not talking about picture puzzles, furniture, and skyscrapers. We're talking about humans, people, you and me, that are an interwoven masterpiece of spirit, heart and soul, minds, emotions, and bodies. People that likely didn't have all the puzzle pieces put in place before we moved from one stage to the next. It's a wonder the functioning world's dysfunctional level isn't higher than it is. And right now we're seeing it's pretty off the charts. If you're thinking this is all doom and gloom, it's not. There are remedies on both personal and societal levels. Most of us have been searching and exploring various remedies for a long time, clearing the layers, keeping us from our true aliveness. Some more successfully than others, for there are many sand traps along our life courses. But before we get to some everlasting solutions that can establish us, you, me, in our true aliveness, our aloha, let's consider for just a moment all the deaths we experience within those overall developmental stages. The deaths associated with letting go of activities we once loved, possessions we once cherished, loved ones, friends, family, and pets that are no longer blessing us with their presence. The death of not getting our way or what we really needed along the pathways of our life so far, especially as children. Or the death of our innocence via physical or emotional abuse as children. How many of us were taught from a very young age about the 5 stages of grief associated with loss to help us navigate those deaths? How many of us haven't fully integrated those losses in one way or another and are still their prisoner? What's a loss for one may be a win for another. What's traumatic to one may be a piece of cake for another. Would you like to know one of the major puzzle pieces that was never put into place for most of us at the appropriate time? Did you know in our late teens, we are hardwired with promptings to find a true spiritual teacher? According to international human development expert Joseph Chilton Pierce, we've learned all we can from our parents at that time, and we're ready for the next step. Even knowing about this step is not in most people's wheelhouse, let alone taking it. No one ever taught me about this step, but I do remember very vividly in my late teens that there was something I felt I needed to find, a path I needed to take, a path I didn't know. And because I didn't know what that path was, nor had any idea where to even begin looking, I followed the path of society, the path I saw my parents play out. We're all programmed to seek love. When we're not taught how to access that love within, when we don't receive a divine spark of remembrance through the blessings of a true spiritual teacher, one of the enlightened ones, walking the earth like we are, we look for whatever substitute we can find. Substitutes that make us feel what we inherently know we're meant to feel. Fantastic. Every cell vibrating in ecstasy. Substitutes we find, however, come with side effects. Temporary highs, followed by crashes, keeping us trapped in a perpetual loop of not finding the lasting elixir within. Drugs, sex, shopping, temporary taste from food and drinks, alcohol, flying here and there, always looking for the next best thing. Things society offers up because we weren't taught that the natural high of being connected to aloha, God, our true aliveness, is what we were designed to pursue. Excuse me. In this moment, bring your hands to your heart if it's safe, and sincerely honor yourself as I'm honoring you right now for wherever you are in this monumental process of reclaiming your true aliveness, for being willing to discover, release, and resolve every last death experience still lingering in your consciousness, every last puzzle piece keeping you from living your aloha of God consciousness in each and every moment, keeping you from enjoying a mind free, completely free of chatter and endless loops of who, what, why, when, and where. I could have, should have, if only I would have. A mind totally at your service, in service to your heart and soul. Unresolved issues keeping you from seeing the very tangible light of God in everyone and everything, especially within yourself and your own eyes while looking in the mirror. Preventing you from hearing the divine sounds that exist within you, which even the most beautiful outer music pales in comparison to. Preventing you from tasting the nectar that can drip down from the inner recesses of your crown onto your tongue, making even the driest bread sweeter than honey. Unresolved issues keeping you from feeling the vibrations of God pulsating in every cell at will. Even unresolved issues you may not currently be aware of. Tomorrow, I'll share about how you can identify and diffuse those time bombs before they destroy some aspect of your aloha. My entire life is devoted to helping you and your children live your true aliveness. In the description box, you'll find a link to some free meditations, guided visualizations, qigong exercises, fairy tales and songs that will assist you in reclaiming and living your aloha. Assist your children in staying established, connected to their original magic, not losing it for as long as many of us have had to. In addition to these free gifts, I've designed many individual and family courses, clubs, books, trainings, masterminds, and coaching packages that empower you and your children to move through this process like a hot knife slices through butter. Fun, experiential, time-tested programs that don't require hours of endless study to get the results you crave. They can be lifeboats in the seas we're now navigating. They can be that one little flip that gets you over the hump you haven't been able to get you over, no matter what you've tried. Simply allocate a small amount of time each day following my proven step-by-step guidance. If you have any questions about which of these programs can best serve you right now, I'd love to talk with you. Just drop me a note in the chat window at timothystutz.com. There's no reason to live anything other than your true aliveness, your full aloha. There's no reason to experience anything less than your ongoing divine essence beginning right now. And please share this video with your friends and family. Let's give everyone an opportunity to experience their true aliveness. With all my blessings for peace, love, vibrant health, and bliss, wrapped in an infinite aloha rainbow of miraculous, magical miracles for you, your children, and your family. Aloha for tuning in. Happy, joyful, blissful 2022 and forevermore.